Greetings everyone, my name is Sai, and I'm willing to bet there are a few things you didn't know about Fallout New Vegas. Let's play a game with this video. If you learn one new thing, I want you to give this video a like, but if you already knew all 10 facts, I want you to leave a dislike guilt-free. Because if you already knew everything, that means I didn't do my job properly. Also, this video will be spoiling the entire game, so you have been warned. So without further ado, here are 10 things you didn't know about Fallout New Vegas. Big iron on his head. Number 10. So this will probably be the spot that is most well known, and will be obvious to fans of the Fallout series, but I am including it because I was unaware of it until very recently. You see, I assumed that Fallout was set in the post-Cold War nuclear apocalypse, taking place somewhere in the late 1950s or early 1960s. But no, the events of Fallout New Vegas actually take place in the year 2281. The official lore on the subject is thus. Apparently our timelines diverged after World War II, because the transistor was never invented in this universe, and thus never spurred on the computer-oriented world we all know today. Rather, vacuum tubes and atomic physics became the main focuses of scientific progress, and thus locked the world into the culture of the 1950s. Then the Resource Wars began around 2050, and lasted until the Great War of 2077, which went on for about 2 hours, and saw the firing of nuclear missiles all around the globe, leading to the birth of the wasteland that we all know and love. Big iron on his head. Number 9. Did you know that one of Fallout New Vegas' developers actually released his own unofficial mod? It adds over 200 small tweaks to the game, with the intention of making it that much more difficult. It does things like reduce your health, having the amount of XP you gain, and most sadistic of all, it lowers your default carry rate from 150 to 50. Well, that's just great. How am I supposed to be the world's biggest loot whore with a carry rate of 50? Big iron on his head. Number 8. At the beginning of the game, if you feel like not taking Fallout as seriously as you possibly could, when you're given the option of selecting your perks, I recommend taking the Wild Wasteland trait. First-time players might shy away from it, as I did, as its description doesn't provide much insight into what it actually does. Basically, it adds a bunch of fourth-wall-breaking Easter eggs into the game for you to find. For example, you can find a crashed UFO with aliens scattered around it, you can find the infamous rodents of unusual size from the Princess Bride and sewers, but my personal favorite are the holy hand grenades you can find, which reference Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Big iron on his head. Number 7. Personally, when I play New Vegas, I prefer to play alone with no companions. Partly because I had a desperado/wandering cowboy appearance to keep up, and partly because the crap AI your companions possess in New Vegas makes them akin to a malfunctioning printer with legs. But interestingly enough, did you know there were originally plans for romance speech options and game endings for your companions? The idea was ultimately scrapped, with the senior producer, Jason Bergman, being quoted as saying, "It was clear that it wasn't going to be fun or interesting in any way." And while I admit he was probably right, I am a bit sad I'll never get to fulfill my dream of marrying a Deathclaw in a dress. Big iron on his head. Number 6. Number 6 is a bit simple and not mind-blowing by any means, but my inner 5-year-old still gets a kick out of it. Did you know that you can actually tip cows in Fallout New Vegas? Well, Brahmin, not cows, but whatever, tomato tomato. You just crouch down next to one and a button prompt appears to tip them over. It's a fun little interactive Easter egg, and I would imagine most people would have never thought about trying it. Big iron on his head. Number 5. If there's one place in Fallout New Vegas you think would have been polished to a mirror shine, it would probably be the city of New Vegas. You know, the namesake of the entire freaking game. Not only was it the carrot held in front of your face for the entirety of the main story, but it's built up as some of the last remnants of proper civilization in the wasteland. A mighty oasis in a barren desert, if you will. So the developers couldn't have possibly hyped the city up any more than they did, and yet I hated just about every minute I spent in the city of New Vegas. It is a confusing mess of a city, hard to navigate well even if you're familiar with the overall layout, and it being constantly broken up by loading screen airlocks doesn't help either. Not to mention, it's just as brown and as filthy looking as the rest of the wasteland. Maybe that's the point, but keep in mind that wasn't always the case. New Vegas was apparently split up into 3 parts because of console limitations. Insert PC Gaming Master Race joke here. And was supposed to be much nicer. It was originally one giant area with cement walls adorned with guard towers and less trash in the street. Overall, it sounds like a much nicer place in the city we actually got. So if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go write Microsoft and Sony some very strongly worded letters.
Big iron on his head.
Number 4. If this video hasn't made it abundantly clear, Obsidian loves to add little Easter eggs for its players to find. Most are well hidden, but usually they're hidden by terrain or optional features that not every player will activate. But in this case, Obsidian hid a fantastic Easter egg in the game by fully understanding its target demographic. So, what type of gamer would Fallout New Vegas be most attractive towards? Well, I don't have any data, of course, but I'd hedge my bets on particularly nerdy gamers like myself. After all, nerds are naturally drawn to the post-apocalypse settings, because it lets us imagine ourselves in a position of power above all those sneering bullies we used to despise. See also every zombie movie ever made. So when choosing character traits, I'd bet that most players went, well, I'm smart in real life, so my character will be too. And that's fair. But did you know that if your intelligence stat is low enough, your character will occasionally get hilarious optional monosyllabalistic dialogue spoken along the lines of, say, the Hulk?
It's unusual to see a new face here. Are you a soldier or a scientist? I see. Then you must have some special business here for them to have let you through. Interesting. Forgive me for prying, but I'm curious. Are you with a particular group? Then for everyone's sake, I hope you serve a worthy master. Are you a maker of war or peace? That's reassuring.
Big iron on his head.
Number 3. Ah, Benny. What a lovable little prick. It takes a special kind of game to open up by shooting you in the head with a 9mm bullet, and Benny was the man with the finger on the trigger. Then, after stealing your package, he runs off to New Vegas, taking the most circuitous and roundabout route he can think of. But did you know that after the player catches up with him, you have a multitude of ways to deal with him? You can fight him and his security guards, talk him into going upstairs to kill him, you can talk him into giving you his apartment and let him go, you can befriend him, and if you're a woman, you get the option to sleep with him and then kill him, or you can just sleep with him and forget about any notion of vengeance. But if you don't choose any of those options, or you don't have the correct skills to pass the conversation skill checks, then Benny will run his ass away to Fortification Hill. And this leads to by far my favorite selection of endings for him. Once he escapes, he will be captured by the Legion. Then, when you catch up to him again, you get the choice of either fighting him fairly in the arena, crucifying him, or most satisfyingly of all, shooting him in the head with your own pistol. For the record, I made sure to cap him twice, just in case.
Big iron on his head.
Number 2. Fallout New Vegas Gunrunner's Arsenal is the optional DLC that was released for Fallout New Vegas, and adds many new guns to the game, as well as optional challenge missions. Most of them are either uninteresting or downright boring, but the one that stood out to me was called A Slave Obeys. I should probably give a spoiler warning here, but if you actually haven't played the original BioShock by now, then I must ask, what the heck are you doing with your life? Anyway, the challenge is that you have to beat Mr. House to death with a 9-iron. This is, of course, a reference to, again, the original BioShock, in which Andrew Ryan continuously says, "A man chooses, a slave obeys," whilst the player beats him to death with a golf club. What makes this reference even better is that both Mr. House and Andrew Ryan are heavily inspired by rich entrepreneur Howard Hughes. Oh, and if you want to get the achievement, keep in mind there's a golf club conveniently located nearby on the second floor of the King's School of Improv.
When he tried to match.
And the number one thing you didn't know about Fallout New Vegas is... Finally, I'm sure you've all seen the iconic Vault-Tec mascot, and his iconic pose used in the game's logo. Now, it may look like he's just winking at you in this picture, but there's more to it than that. It is apparently a technique civilians are supposed to use in the event of a nuclear bomb going off. After it explodes, if you can see the mushroom cloud from where you're standing, you're supposed to stick out your arm and hold your thumb over the cloud. If your thumb eclipses the cloud, then you're safe, quote-unquote, from fallout. And I use the word safe in an extremely relative term in this case. But if the cloud is bigger than your thumb, then you're in the radiation zone and should evacuate. So what I'm saying is that the Vault-Tec boy is most likely about to be killed by an explosive blast of radiation. Very fitting. So everyone, that was 10 things you didn't know about Fallout New Vegas, and I hope you enjoyed it. Remember to leave a thumbs up if you learned something new, and of course thumbs down if you already knew everything, because if that's the case then I didn't do my job properly. And if you really liked the video, I would ask that you consider subscribing, and if I get enough interest in this video, then I'll probably start doing these 10 things videos on a regular basis. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Later.